Thank you all, obviously, for coming out. Okay, that's a huge turnout. We definitely didn't know when we first put this or wanted to put this together. We didn't know how many people would actually show up. Where we've done it in the past, or times I've done it in the past, people haven't came. And so that's a kudos to you guys, because y'all actually want to be here and better yourself. You wanted to learn today and make sure that you're, helping yourself going forward. So I want y'all to give yourselves a round of applause for yourself. At the end of the day, this is about you guys. We're just here to help, and we want to offer as many tools as possible that we can so that y'all succeed. At the end of the day, the more tools you have, the more success you're going to have. So really want to thank y'all for coming out. Obviously, today we're going to be talking about the heart rate monitors that we've been talking about for
months.
Yeah, months. 6, 7, 8, something like that. And basically, we're going to go over a few things. We're going to go over ways that things were done in the past, how we're going to be doing it in the future and going forward, how we're going to measure your success and your progress using the heart rate monitors, and how we're going to keep you all on track with them as well, and how you're going to use them for yourself. So the first thing I want to go over is kind of what we've been using in the past. It's very subjective, so we want to make sure that going forward everything is measurable. So the first one is client's mood. Nice picture, Dave. Told you it was coming. His favorite picture. So for client's mood, how many times do y'all walk in and say, hey, how you feeling today? How are you doing? How's work? How much sleep did you get? All those different things. Did you eat today? All those things. And yes, I want to know that because I care about y'all and want to know how your day was and how work was. But I'm also trying to get a gauge on your mood. Because if you come in and say, hey, I haven't slept, or work sucked, the kids were bouncing off the walls in class today, then I know that that's going to affect your workout. So we're always asking those questions, and it's really for us to get a gauge on how hard we can push you today, or if we need to dial you back. The next thing, RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. So in the past, this is a 0 to 10 scale. So if I said, hey, you did those squats, 0 to 10, how hard was that? And you tell me 5, then I know I can bump it up. Or how hard was that bike sprint? Probably 10, most of y'all would say. But for that, they kind of classify as, everyone talks about high intensity interval training. They actually classify an 8 or above would be that you're doing high intensity interval training to some degree or that intense. So if you feel like you haven't been pushing yourself to an 8 here, then time to start, right? And we're going to be able to measure that. So before it was just like it's a thing, like with women who have had children, they know childbirth is painful. Guys don't know that. So y'all might say that, hey, that wasn't that bad. I've had kids. That was easy compared to that. Guys would be like, oh, that hurt. They're going to complain a little bit more, typically, most of the time. All right, and then the talk test. So this is, can you complete a sentence? At the end of the workout when y'all are like sucking wind at the end of the workout sometimes, that's the talk test. Can you tell me a sentence? Because if you can't, then I know your body's not taking enough oxygen in, and I know you're working what we call anaerobically, or not using oxygen. So there's anaerobic, there's aerobic. Aerobic meaning that you're using oxygen, you can talk. It could be moderate to easy exercise. But if you're in that hard or uncomfortably hard workout, you're probably not going to be able to complete a sentence or complete it like you normally would. You might have to take a few breaths in between. So that's kind of what we gauge sometimes if you're riding that bike at the end and doing some intervals or doing some sled runs, and we try to talk to you and you can't talk, then we know that we need to back it down. And if you can talk, then you're probably not working hard enough, right? At the same time. So why use heart rate technology? Okay, there's a bunch of different reasons. The first one being the live feedback. So a lot of y'all have iWatches or Fitbits, things like that, which are great, but I can't see it, and neither can Autumn. So we have no idea in your workout what your heart rate is actually doing, and we can't judge it. The other thing is we're going to be using a percentage of your max heart rate. So in the percentage, obviously everyone is different. Not everyone's max heart rate is the same. Not everybody's resting heart rate is the same. So if you tell me, if I say, hey, what's your Fitbit tell you? And you're like, oh, I'm at 117. For someone, that might be they're warming up. For somebody else, that might be they're hitting their end and they need to slow down. So it's very, it's hard to tell with the watches. And then the other thing is that these are designed to save battery and last you all day. So what they do is, I think some of them are different, but I know most of them only check your heart rate every minute to 2 minutes. So if that minute to 2 minute was while me or Autumn was, telling the exercises or demonstrating something, or just talking to you, or you're resting, getting water, then at the end of the workout, it's not going to tell you that your calories were very accurate. Because it might have tested when you were pushing on the bike, or it might have tested when you were getting water. So you don't know, but we always want the live feedback. So on the screens, you're going to see a square. And in that square, it's going to tell us a few different things. It's going to tell us how many calories you've burned so far, your heart rate at that current moment. It's going to tell us your MEPs, which we're going to go over in a little bit. And then it's also going to tell us your percentage of your max heart rate. And that's what we're going to be using to judge your effort and how hard you're working throughout the workout. So the next thing is accurate burn. So when you come in, and some of you used to meet with Autumn, and a lot of you now are meeting with Nick doing the nutrition. When we do that, we're trying to figure out how many calories you burn in a day. That way we can give you how many calories you need to take in, right? To make sure that you're losing body fat, gaining muscle, all of those things. Well, before, we had to kind of semi-guess how many calories you were burning. Everybody's different based on how much muscle mass you have or body fat mass you have. That's different for each person of how many calories you burn. So the question I get a lot is, how many calories should I burn? For someone, 300 might be really good. For someone else, you need 1,000, depending on your body and how hard you can push and how in shape you are. So with the accurate burn, we're going to know really how many calories you're burning. It's going to constantly be checking your heart rate every second of the workout. And in the app, you're also going to put in your in-body metrics. So it's not on these, it just checks usually BMI. It tells you to put in your height, weight, and age, and it does a little math calculation. It tells you your BMI, but we know that that's not the most accurate way to check. So using the app, you're going to put in how much muscle mass you have, how much body fat you have, how tall you are, your age, all of those different things, male, female, because all of that's going to determine how many calories you burn. It's going to be a lot more accurate than just either guessing or using the Fitbit or the iWatch. So using that way we can be more dialed in with your nutrition. If we look at your app and we say, hey, pull out your app, let's see what you've done in the last 5 or 10 workouts. I want to get an average of how many calories you're burning in each workout. Then we can actually put together a more accurate nutritional plan for you. That way you really know that you're being dialed in with that nutrition. Sometimes 100 calories is going to determine whether you lost or gained body fat in that week. And if we can be more dialed in with the accurate calorie count, then we're going to be more dialed in with our diet. We're going to be more dialed in with losing body fat. Determining your max heart rate. So everybody's favorite exercise in here, ready? 1, 2, 3, bike. Right? So when we first get the heart rate monitors, we're going to put you on the bike and we're going to do a test, and we're going to try to get as close to your max heart rate as we can get. Okay? Because that's going to determine what?
Before you kill us.
Yeah. So that's going to determine how hard or how much effort you're working throughout your workouts, and it's going to adjust your percentage based on that. So, and the great thing is that it's going to change. As you get more, do what?
Only the bike can tell that?
No. It's going to be the best thing that we have. Yeah. Because you're using your arms and your legs on the bike and the resistance that's involved, it's hard. Like we could do sled runs, but sometimes the moving and up and down, it's a delayed time for us to see what your heart rate is. And it would take you a lot more sprints with a sled to get your heart rate to max than it would on the bike. The bike, just rip the Band-Aid off, get it over with.
Even with no weights, Zach?
Yeah, even with no weights. It would take you a lot longer. It would take you a few minutes of constant sprinting. So your legs would probably give out before your heart rate even got to the max. So, but using that, we're going to determine your percentages, and that's going to gauge the workout. Because if we know how high you can push and how hard you can go, that's going to change in the workouts of what we think is, easy, moderate, or hard. The other thing is resting heart rate. So every week to 2 weeks or a month, I'm going to ask y'all to put on the heart rate monitor when you wake up in the morning, lay there for 5 minutes, and get a resting heart rate. Because this is one of the tools that we're going to use to check how in shape you are. The lower your resting heart rate, the more in shape you are. So they kind of say that average is 60 to 100, but the closer you are to that 100 is not very good. Okay, it also leads to cardiovascular disease, heart disease.
How does the monitor check your heart rate when you're home? How do you
As soon as you put on the monitor, it's going to beep, I think 3 times or twice, and it lets you know that it's turned on. So as soon as it touches your skin and it detects a heartbeat, it's going to start calculating.
And where do you see that?
Well, you're going to get an app on your phone.
Oh.
And also the ones that we got, there's 2 different models. We got the higher end model that you can use it outside of here. So there's 2 models. There's one that you can only use when you come to the gym that you go to that has MyZone. And then they make a belt that has, I think it's a 12-hour memory. So when you're outside of here, then you're going to put that belt on and it'll link to your iPhone. And you can pull up your iPhone and it has the app and you can see literally what you're at that current moment. It'll have the same square that's going to pop up on the TVs in here. It'll have that same little square on your phone. So you'll be able to tell.
It won't connect to the Fitbit or the iPhone watch. It won't connect to that.
The watch, actually, if you have an iWatch, it actually has an app that you can download to, so your square will literally be the square that's up there. Yep. But determining your resting heart rate will also let us tell if you're actually getting in better shape. We should see that go down. Elite level athletes and people that are in extremely good shape are in the upper 40s and low 50s. So, but like I was saying before, anything when you get into the 80s, 90s, and close to 100, your chance of cardiovascular disease and heart disease goes up tremendously. So we want to make sure, that's one thing that we're going to want to monitor to make sure that we're continuously getting that lower and lower and lower. All right? The other thing, track progress. Okay? So we're going to be have like a few challenges, but we're also going to create a network in here. And you're going to be connected to everyone in here. So when you go on the app, you can see it's going to have a bar graph of everyone's workout, and you can see how many calories you burned, your peak heart rate, your average heart rate, your effort level, your calories burned, all those different things, and we can track that over time. And we can look at just yours, or we can look at everyone as a whole, and you can see how you're doing, how your friends are doing. I know you'll have some competitiveness earlier. I'm sure we're going to have some competitiveness with this.
Not now, not us.
It's over now.
But we can track it over time to make sure that your effort level is going up, your calorie burn is going up, your resting heart rate is going down, your peak heart rate is going up. All those different things, we're going to track that over months and months and months and years, and we're going to find out if you're actually getting better, if you're staying stagnant, if we need to make a change, if we need to push harder, bring it down maybe a little bit. And that can change week to week, month to month, depending. You might change jobs, you might have something happen in your family, anything, but those things are going to affect that. We're going to be able to track it and see how you do. So the next thing, myths about heart rate training. So over the last few months when we've been talking about this, we get all kinds of questions when people come in about things that they've heard other places, things that they've read on Facebook and different places. So I'm going to tackle kind of the 2 biggest ones that I get asked about the most. First one, Carbonin formula. How many of you have been told that 220 minus your age gives you your maximum heart rate? You've been told it at some point in your life or heard it at some point in your life, right? Complete myth. And in 2001 they did a study in Medicine and Science Journal, and they did it over a couple of thousand people from ages 17 to 65, men and women, all different races, and the conclusion was not accurate. So what they actually came up with was a Carbonin method, is what they called it, the second round. But the problem was you need a calculator or a pen and paper to figure out, because there's all kinds of formulas involved, and it includes your resting heart rate. The problem is when you come to the gym, not many trainers or doctors, if you go to your doctor's office, doesn't want to sit there and plug in all the numbers and do the math and figure out what that actually is. And even that can sometimes still be inaccurate. But it was a little bit more accurate than the formula, just the 220 minus your age. So they use that, but like I said, it's hard when you have to sit there and over 150, 200 clients, try to figure out everyone's maximum heart rate based on some formula. So that was the first one. So, like I said, we're going to use the bike, and we're actually going to test it and see what you can really do, because everyone is different. The fat burning zone.
Stairmaster.
We just saw it on your app while you burned 8 hours in the fat burning zone. That was a perfect example. So you had, what was it that you were wearing?
Fitbit.
Your Fitbit, and it told you that you were in 8 hours of fat burning.
Yep.
All right? How many people have heard of the fat burning zone? Okay? You haven't heard? So basically what they said was, at rest, 85% of your energy comes from fat, rather than carbs or protein or anything like that. So we should all just sit here and burn fat, right? Burning it right now.
It doesn't work.
Is that what we ordered
But,
pizza?
yeah, right now you're burning fat. the problem with it is that you're not burning very many calories. So when you add up the math of it, in this course of an hour, you burn maybe 10 calories, maybe. If you burn 10 calories and 85%, you burn 8 calories from fat. Not very much, right? Not enough to lose weight. Yeah. So, and then they say at a walking pace, about 70% of your energy comes from fat. So you should all just walk, right? 70%. Well, if you walk for an hour, you only burn about 200 calories. So that's 140 calories from fat. Still not very good, right? Now you take that into moderate to hard exercise, you burn up to 50%, but you burn substantial amount of more calories total. So in a moderate workout for an hour, you burn about 50% and you burn about 500 calories. That's 250 calories from fat. That sounds a lot better, right? So it's just about being efficient with your time. Yes, you burn fat throughout the course of the day because you're at rest and you're using 85%. But while you're here for the hour, you want to maximize that and make sure that you're efficient with what you're doing in that hour and burn as many calories of fat as possible. And there are smart ways to do it. You don't want to just come in here and get on the bike for an hour and go all out because you're trying to burn as many calories as you want. There is smart ways to do it, and you have to rest and you have to recover and then push yourself again. And we're going to talk about that. But the main thing is I want y'all to know that just because it says, hey, go walk on the treadmill for an hour, you'll be in the fat burning zone. And even the treadmills have it now, which is even crazier. Treadmill says, hey, stay in the fat burning zone. The whole thing, all right, cool, easy. And then you just walk in there for an hour. And you have the person next to them who's sprinting, working their ass off, who's actually burning way more than they are. So, how we're going to use the heart rate technology. So, first thing, improve fat loss, like we just talked about. If we can monitor your effort level and where your heart rate's at and how hard your workout is, then we can make sure that you're actually burning more fat calories. Okay. The other thing is the calorie burn. The calorie burn, like I talked about earlier. If we're more dialed in and we know how many calories you're burning, then we know how to affect change your nutrition so that you're affecting your body fat percentage and making sure that that's going down. So it's just about knowing more. Like we've said before, know better, do better. Okay. If you know something, you have the ability to do better, but you have to know it first. It has to be measurable. The next thing, improve strength. Okay. Not everybody is here for fat loss. We have a few clients that just want to get strong, Scott being one of them. I know his goal is he wants to keep his body fat down, but at the same time, his goal is to get strong. I'm going to use those percentages different for him than I would for someone whose goal is fat loss. Because if he rests more, he has the ability to push harder in the next set with more weight, rather than someone who doesn't care if their bench press goes up. They might not care, so they can not rest as long and stay burning those more calories, push a little less weight than maybe they could if they rested to full rest and then go. But if that's his goal, then I know that I can train him differently than everyone else in here. So it gives us as coaches the ability to make everything a little bit more personalized to your goal. Improve cardio.
I like this.
Yeah. So for cardio, like we talked about, the resting heart rate, the maximum heart rate, if we know those things, that's how we're going to judge if you're actually getting better. The other thing coming up, we're going to talk about a couple of tests that we're going to do to actually check to see if that you can do every single workout to check to see if you're getting better. So the resting heart rate and the max heart rate, those are going to be, resting maybe once a week or, every couple of weeks that you can do that. And the max heart rate is going to be probably every 3 months that we might try to test that. We're not going to do that all the time. We're not here to just run y'all to the ground. But there's going to be a couple of tests that I'm going to talk to y'all about where you can check. Yeah, that's what it feels like, huh? Every day you come in. But there's going to be a couple of tests I'm going to talk about that you can do at the end of every single workout. And I'm sure everyone's going to be staring at the screen, waiting to see if they're getting better. At the end of the workout, we're going to have a crowd around the TVs. But you can tell to see if you're actually making progress and where you are in that spectrum. So if we know that your resting heart rate is going down, then we know that you're getting in better cardiovascular shape. You're going to be in better health. The next one, effort. So I mentioned it before, the effort percentage. At the end of each workout, it's going to tell us an effort score. Okay? And that tells us, on average, where your heart rate was throughout that hour. Okay? So most of the time, we're going to try to be around 75 to 80, somewhere in that range. That's a moderate to hard workout. So, but with the effort is, I can change that. I can make it easier, I can make it harder for someone. You know, if someone comes in, they say, hey, you know, I didn't get to eat lunch today. I had to rush from work, or I was busy. I didn't get to eat. I know that I can't push them as hard today. So I'm going to say, hey, keep your heart rates between these and these today rather than what we normally do, so that you don't die at the end of the workout, or that you don't feel like you're going to pass out and have to go sit in the front, you know, with a cool towel on you. Okay, so I can make sure that, like we talked about, we're still going to use the client mood and the rate of perceived exertion. We're still going to use those tools because those are good and it gives us feedback from how you're feeling. But at the same time, the heart rate doesn't lie, and we can use that to connect the two and make sure that those two are congruent. The other thing with the effort level is, if all of y'all were doing a workout right now, no matter what physical shape you're in, I can make the workout the exact same for everyone, which is the best thing for a coach. Because obviously people, you know, first day coming in versus someone who's been here for, you know, 2 years with us, they're going to be vastly different as far as how in shape they are, most likely. So maybe that first day, the person only gets in 2 rounds of our exercises. And the person that's been here for 2 years gets in 6. Most of y'all would probably think, oh, well, the person that's done 6 rounds probably did, you know, more work or a harder workout. But with the effort level, the person who just started and just came in and it's their first day, their effort level might have been the exact same as the person that did 6 rounds. The only difference is their work capacity isn't the same as the others. But effort-wise, they worked out the exact same and they got the same exact benefit from that workout. Even though they did less rounds, less reps, less sets, that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's how much effort are you putting in and what's your work capacity and what can you push to. So for all of y'all, we could do the same workout. All of y'all might be doing different reps, different sets, not the same amount of rounds, whatever you want to call it, but at the same time, I can make sure that all of y'all get the exact same workout as far as how hard you pushed yourself based on that effort level. And that's how we're going to use the percentages through the workout to make it even more personalized as well. If you haven't eaten, if you haven't slept, if you're stressed out, or you've been traveling, we obviously know that those things have an effect on your body. The other thing with it is, when you are at those levels and your body is stressed, we know that it responds to stress in a negative way. So it's going to take, maybe one day you come in and you do 50-pound goblet squats, and you do them for 10. That's your kind of your average go-to. And you come in and you're like, God, I only got 4 hours of sleep today, Zach. I'm not going to be able to push as hard. And what do we normally say? Okay, well, let's take it easy today. But what does most people do? They go grab that 50-pound dumbbell and they try to do it 10 times. Like, oh man, that was so hard today. I feel like a failure. This workout sucks. I'm leaving. I hate this. But when I told them to take it easy most of the time, but just out of habit. We're creatures of habit. So we constantly go grab the same amount of weight, and we do the same amount of reps, or try to do the same amount of reps, and then we get frustrated when it didn't feel as easy as the other day when you did it. You're like, well, if we know what your max heart, or if we know what your heart rates are at, the stress is going to get your heart rate to a higher level easier and with less stimulus than on the days when you feel great. And that's the great thing about it, is whether you are stressed or malnutritioned or haven't slept, I still know your threshold and where you're at and how hard you're pushing, regardless of how much weight you're doing or how many reps you're doing and how hard you're pushing. Okay? Now the MEPS. So MEPS is the MyZone effort points. Okay? So throughout the workout, it's going to give you points based on how many minutes you spend in each heart rate zone. So you're going to see different colors. For the 60 percentiles, you're in blue. For 70, you're in green. For 80, you're in yellow. And red, you're in, 90, you're in red. Okay? And it's going to give you a point system based on that. And it goes congruent with the effort points. MyZone, by their standards and their research, they say that 1,300 MEPS per month is the minimum to be healthy. So, we're going to find out when we start working out with them how many you're actually burning in a given workout. On average, it should be anywhere from 100 to 150. That's kind of going to be the average. Okay? Everybody's going to be different. But if you're burning 100 and you come twice a week, that's 8 workouts a month. Where do those extra points come from?
Washing the car.
Yeah. Cutting grass. Okay. 12-ounce curls. Right? So it's going to help us track y'all when you're not here. Like I know Chuck, he works out, what, 5 days a week? But you come to me how many?
Twice.
Twice. Okay? So I'm going to be able to look at his MyZone app and see how many calories he's burning outside of here, how hard he's working outside of here, if he's working outside of here. Okay? Might have some of y'all saying, yeah, I go to the gym every day. We go walk the beach every day. Are you really?
So will the app track that for all of us?
Yep.
At home?
At home.
We're going to keep a tally, a score.
Yep. So if you see if you're 20 days into the month and you only got 500 MEPs, you're gonna start working. Gotta meet that quota.
Grab that thing with the dog.
Yes.
Is it gonna send you notifications telling you like that you're behind, or you're not on track, or you are on track?
No, but you'll be able to track. We'll be able to track it.
They send you emails. I get emails.
Yeah, send you
Emails
emails?
after every workout that says you're certain MEPs behind to meet the 1,300.
Okay, cool.
Gives you a summary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So they take into consideration the 6 a.m. class versus the 10:30 a.m. class?
Yeah. See, when you haven't slept as much, it's gonna be a little easier to get that heart rate up.
That's why I keep coming in the morning.
So, yeah, with those, we're going to be able to tell. We're also going to be able to have little mini friendly competitions, like we're doing one right now with the workers at Catalyst. I know Gina was in the lead for a while, and then Anthony took over, been doing 5 workouts a day in here. I'm sure some of y'all have noticed he's been jumping into some groups to get some extra MEPs. Some of y'all have been doing burnouts with Anthony. That's him trying to beat the record. But at the same time, what did you also find when you got too high with your body?
That I've been burning out.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll also be able to tell, are you doing too much? Okay?
Don't
Yes.
break me.
Yeah. Anthony's super competitive. He's not going to lose. So he's going to do whatever it takes.
You hear that?
Yeah. But how many calories do you take in a day to make up for it?
Extra 1,000, literally extra 1,000 calories.
Yeah. Some of y'all might not even be eating 1,000 a day.
I'm not doing it after this month.
Yeah. You're gonna stay in that healthy zone. Yeah, so we're gonna also be able to tell if you're burning out. Okay? At the same time, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, this is a good question too, like Anthony said. It showed that he's burning out. Andrew, you felt like you were burning out with that? Or was just
I was starting to get sick, like the postnasal drip, like headaches, just lethargic.
Yep.
I didn't have energy to do
Me when I was doing the double shifts, some of y'all burn. I started to get the same thing, and knew that it was time and it was too much. So it's the same thing. We can track your effort level throughout the whole thing, and then we can tell if you're overtraining or burning too much, or if you're not.
So you're going to tell me to come less days?
No.
Don't take it easy.
So I'm extremely excited about this, and it's going to tell you, and it'll tell you in the workout how many you're at. So throughout the entire workout as well. So you can kind of gauge, like, all right, I'm a little bit behind today. I need to pick the pace up a little bit. All right. So what should a sample workout look like with the heart rate monitors? Okay. Obviously, like we talked about, everybody's different. Goals are different. So I kind of just put like a sample one up there of what's going to be kind of the average. So warm up, 50 to 70%. Obviously, when you're foam rolling, you're not going to be huffing and puffing. Okay, there shouldn't be. Sometimes.
This morning.
So you'll be on the low end of that, but you're going to be surprised when we start doing those skips and jumps and the high knees and the shuffles and the karaoke's. You're going to start to see that heart rate climb pretty quickly for some of y'all. Some of y'all might be alarmed at how high your heart rate gets just doing those simple things that are a warm up. So that's one way that we're going to be able to track it.
I feel nervous already.
Yeah. for the strength portion, about 70 to 90. So
Fail the test.
yeah. So this is going to be kind of that range I was talking about, where we want to stay in about 75 to 80% effort level throughout the whole workout. So sometimes you might go higher, sometimes you might go lower. Okay. But we want to make sure that you're staying in between that, so that you're burning as many calories as you can in a safe way. Okay, we obviously don't want you to burn out in the first 10 minutes trying to keep your heart rate at 90 so that you know the whole time. We want to make sure that it's an up and down gradual thing, and that you're resting, repeat, rest, repeat. We're going to talk about that. But the burnout, everybody's favorite, 85 to 100%. That should be maximum effort, okay, with little rest. You're going to see a lot of yellows, lots of reds, okay? But if I can see that you're not dropping, if I can see you're hanging out at 98% for a while, I'm going to say, hey, relax for a second, take this exercise off. Okay, and then jump back in once your heart rate goes. So we can be a little bit more strategic in the burn. Some of y'all, it's hard in the burnouts. That's probably the hardest thing for a coach, is to judge a burnout. Because for us, we look at, if we have 6 people in a group, we look at the 6 We try to take the average and develop a burnout that's going to kind of hit that average person. For the people that are a little less in shape, it's going to be really hard. For the people that, yeah, so we try to meet in the middle with those groups. And the person that is in really good shape can either push harder or it might be slightly easier. But at the end of the day, we know we're taking a safe approach to it. With this, we can say, hey, we're going to do 10 minutes of this, of these exercises, or we're going to do this circuit. And if we see someone that's hanging on that red just a little too long, that we know maybe takes heart medication or has heart arrhythmias, or they're just hanging out there too long where I feel like it's not safe and I see them getting white in the face. We're going to say, hey, take this exercise off, take an extra 20 seconds. Oh, he's like, guilty. We can make sure that y'all are safe in that burnout so that you're not sick. I know sometimes it happens. My goal is never to make someone throw up. Honestly, if I make someone throw up, guilty. Yeah. After one of the bike challenges, huh? It was a bike challenge? Yeah. So that's never my goal. Honestly, if one of my clients does, I feel like shit, and I feel like I failed as a coach in that moment. I pushed too hard. So my goal is to not get to that point. I never want to judge a workout based on how hard you threw up or how much gallons of throw up we got in the trash can after. That's not the goal.
I love it.
Okay? We don't want that. So with this in the burnout, we can make sure that someone who's not as in great of shape isn't going to burn out and get to that point, but also push the people who can be pushed. So determining your starting point. Okay? These are those tests that we were talking about. So obviously the resting heart rate and the max heart rate tests are going to be the first two that I want y'all to do. The max one we're going to do in here.
That's you.
Yep. Yep. Over there, welcome. Yeah.
I was on the other side of the camera.
The 1 minute test.
Yeah, I would like to be in
Okay.
the
On
picture.
average, your heart rate should drop about 15 to 25 beats per minute in the first minute, for every minute. Okay. If it's 12 or under, that's considered abnormal. Your doctor would say you need to get some tests done. Okay, so at the end or after you exert yourself for an exercise, you can look at the screen, you'll see your actual heart rate. So not your percentage, but your actual heart rate. And if it's dropping at least 15 beats per minute in the first minute, you're good. Okay, anything over that 25 to 30 is considered really good or excellent. Okay, so we're going to be able to test that. That should get better over time. Okay, so if you check it the first workout, and then a month from then you look at it, it should be a little bit of a change. And it might not be drastic, but 1 or 2 beats per minute over the course of a month, and keep adding those, that means that we're getting better and you're getting in better shape. The 2-minute test. So in the American Journal of Cardiology, they did a study, and in 2 minutes, how much your heart rate drops determines mortality. So what they say is, if it doesn't drop at least 22 beats in the first 2 minutes, your biological age is older than your actual age. Yes. Right? So we want to make sure that you're above that. Okay? 22 to 55 is considered your biological age being the same as your age. And then anything over that is considered your biological age being younger than your actual age. That's where we all want to be, right? That's the goal. So,
If you go too far,
55%.
you're pretty much.
yeah, like if it's below 22, we got some work to do, and you also might want to go get some tests done just to make sure that you don't have any arrhythmias or other things going on, high blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. So we'll be able to tell. We've already found, I think she's here.
Excuse me, thank you.
Where is she? Where is she? Vicky. With her watch, we were using her watch one day, and she had just finished, I think it was the bike, or something. It was a burnout, but I think it was the bike. And we looked at her max heart rate, and I'm like, something's wrong. Because it wasn't going to what it should. And I told you, we need to get that checked out. She went and got it checked out, and there was a heart arrhythmia that she found out about. Or is it arrhythmia or murmur? Murmur. That we found out about. Had I not known her heart rate, we would have never known that. We would have just thought Vicky's tired. We just got off the bike. But with these, we can tell if something's going on. If I see that you're working or that you physically look different than what your heart rate should be, something could be wrong. If it's not dropping quick enough, something could be wrong. If it's bouncing, one of the other things you could see sometimes is it bounce all over. That's the arrhythmia. Is if it's bouncing all over, if you go from 150 to 120 to 140, it's all over the place, something's wrong. And there's been times, people that I've worked with, where they were the client came in and was like, hey, I think my monitor's broke. It's not reading, I'm bouncing all over the place, it doesn't look right. They put it on and it works fine. Like, you need to go to the doctor. We need to find out what's going on. So we can also detect if you have something going on that maybe you don't know about yet. And we can hopefully get it before something happens. The last thing we would want is someone to have an issue here and have a heart attack or something like that. We don't want that. Been there, done that, don't want that to happen again. So, customizing your workout, okay? Work to 90%, rest to 70, repeat. So, in simple terms, work really hard, let your body recover, work really hard again. If you constantly are working at 90%, you're not going to last very long, okay? We know that. We also know that interval training burns more calories, burns more fat. We want your body to not get to homeostasis where it's just like this even keel, because your body is designed to be at one level. Whether that level is elevated or at rest, your body doesn't like change. So if you're constantly stressing it with change in the exercise where you're making that heart rate go up and letting it drop and repeating that, it causes stress in an exercise way to your body, and we're going to make sure that you're burning more calories, but you're not burning out at the same time throughout the workout, and that you can last the entire hour. So, I know you've already had some questions, but now open it up. Any questions? Anything? Karen?
Yeah. You keep saying burning out. What do you mean? Like,
Fatiguing where you can't finish the workout.
Oh, okay.
Getting to the point where it's like, hey, I'm done. Like, or I feel like I'm going to throw up, or I'm feeling faint, I need to go sit down.
So what is your body doing at that point? What's it burning? Is it not burning properly?
No, it's just overexerted.
Yeah.
When you work out, toxins are released into your bloodstream and into your muscles in different forms, and when you get too much of that into your body, like if you've ever heard of rhabdomyalgia, okay, it's a CrossFit thing. They made it funny and they think it's cool and made it into a clown. And they have literally a mascot for rhabdo because they think it's cool, which is another story. I won't get on that soapbox. But rhabdo is literally life-threatening. Life-threatening, where you need to immediately go to the emergency room. And what happens is you overexert a muscle, too many toxins go into it, and it starts to swell, extreme pain, heat, and you can die, lose a limb. There's a lot of bad side effects.
So you're lactic acidosis.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to make sure that you're not getting too many toxins into the body where you start to feel nauseous. And those are the symptoms of what comes out of it. You feel nauseous, you feel lightheaded, you turn pale, your blood rushes from your brain to go to the muscles that it's working and not getting enough oxygen to your brain.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
The change from 3-3-3 to long sessions, repeated working, does that have something to do with?
Absolutely. So the one thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to maximize your time in here actually working out. So what we found was doing the other split, which is great, it was allowing y'all to rest a little too much. And I think we could one day, if you wanted to try it out, we can put the heart rate monitors on and we can see the difference between those two. And I think just the rest periods of me and Autumn going through the new exercises will allow y'all to recover too much rather than give y'all the chance to just continuously burn, and gives us the chance to monitor gauge your workout based on your heart rate rather than, hey, do these two. The other thing is we wanted to get y'all more exposures to each exercise. Someone who is new or out of shape, sometimes we're only getting one round of each before it was time to switch again. And this new way, they're able to get maybe 2 or 3. Because we do know from a motor standpoint and movement standpoint, the more times you're exposed to a squat, the better you're going to get at the squat. And the more neurologically, you're going to get better at moving and things like that and understanding what your body's doing during those exercises. So we also wanted to increase the amount of exposures to each exercise with it.
In reference to that, so with the new way we're working out, your rest periods are more self-paced?
Yes, and sometimes that could be something where me and Autumn say, hey, you need to calm down. There's people that are the go, go, go type A, people who are nonstop, and I'm going to have to say, hey, let's take a deep breath. Let's relax and calm down. And there's people that are like, all right, come on, let's go. Come on, do it. Do the workout, kicking the butt. So there's the different types. And for us, sometimes I might have that person where I'm like, come on, let's go. But on the inside, they might be like, oh, shit, I'm exhausted. I can't go anymore. And I don't know, maybe to me, with my eyes, they look fine. They just look like they're being lazy. But in actuality, maybe on the inside, they feel their heart doing this. So it could be something as that, but it allows us to personalize it, but also you to self-monitor to make sure that you're also resting to where you should and pushing to how hard you should. Yes.
You brought up eating
Yes.
before a workout. If you come in early in the morning, personally, I don't want to have breakfast. before.
Yeah, that's fine.
So that's cool.
Yes, and as long as you're getting your calories in, the main thing you're going to want to focus on is what you're eating right after. Because we know that after exercise, you're going to continue to burn calories and burn fat for up to 2 hours after.
The second part of my question,
Yeah.
what if you're trying to practice intermittent fasting? So you're stop eating at 6 o'clock at night and you don't want to eat before 11 or 12, but you come in for a workout at 10:30. Is that not good?
I would,
I had a problem.
so if
with
you,
that.
yeah. The thing is you're going to find out and you're going to get really intuitive. If you're feeling terrible, then you know that it's not working. If you're going to have that where you just kind of drop off and that lag kind of after the workout. If it's close, the main thing is they recommend that you eat something within an hour of your workout. Usually a shake is better because it's liquid, your body can absorb it faster rather than a solid food. But they recommend within an hour that you get something so that you're not having that downfall after. So it's going to be something that you want to monitor and play with. But we do burn calories for up to 2 hours after your workout. So you're still burning, and that's also when your body's metabolism is higher. So we want to make sure that you're refueling it and with good things right after as well. So it's just going to be something you want to monitor and make sure that you're not crashing.
Is that all
after.
just 2 hours?
Do what?
Is that all just 2 hours?
Yeah, 2 hours after a workout, you're going to steadily decline, but you're going to be at an elevated calorie burn for the next 2 hours after. Unless you came in and just rested. Peter.
Old school, you worked out to muscle failure or muscle burn.
Yeah.
This is sort of working out to respiratory failure or heart failure.
So you're going to find it. Yeah.
For example, my threshold for muscle failure is much higher than my threshold for respiratory failure.
Yes.
So how do you marry the two where you get your maximum strength?
You're going to find two things. One is it's going to be determinant on what exercise you're doing, because there might be something that you might be really strong at. Most women are stronger in the legs. They might be able to push harder with their legs before they get to a certain amount than with their upper body. The other thing is using our arms, our heart rate goes up higher as well because it's closer to your heart. So it's going to be, you're going to find that they're very close. I think once you get the belt, you're going to realize that when you muscle fail, you're going to be getting pretty close. The only thing that might be a little different with would be something that's more cardio-based, like the bike, sled runs, rower, things like that. But I think you're going to find that they're going to be pretty close. And there's a little bit of about a 2 to 3 second delay on your heart rate for what it comes up on the screen. So after you're done the exercise, that's when you're going to see your heart rate climb. So you won't even know. If you're laying down doing bench press, per se, you're not going to know till you get up and look at your heart rate to see what it's at. But I would push to muscle failure if you can. If you feel like I can't breathe anymore, that's when you're getting that talk test that we were talking about. That's when you're hitting that anaerobic threshold where it's like, okay, I'm not getting enough oxygen to supply the muscles that I'm using. So they correlate very close. So you're going to find that they're pretty close, except for when we're doing more cardio. Like for me, when I get on the bike, my legs burn out before my cardio does. So for me, I know that that's going to happen. But I also know that I'm going to be able to push a little bit harder if I know where my heart rate is at as well.
So for the monitors, are there options besides the belt that goes over the chest? Can you put on your wrist? Does it hang from the neck? I don't know.
We got the chest straps.
So, okay.
And they have a wrist one, but I prefer the chest just because it's a lot more accurate. The other thing is with this one, you can wear it anywhere from your belly button to your sternum. So for women, it's easy. You can tuck it into your sports bra sometimes if it's comfortable there, or you can put it just below. I think this one, you would have to order it, but they make a sports bra.
Yeah, they make a sports bra.
Yeah, they make
a watch.
Yeah, and they make it so if that's something you wanted to order, you can go on their website and order that yourself. But they do make a sports bra one that has the strap built into it. So that's another option as well. This one, the chest is just always going to be the most accurate.
Okay.
Dave.
For the 1 minute, 2 minute test, is there a function that computes that, or do you have to look at your heart rate and look at the clock?
Yeah, I mean the easiest thing for us is just going to be look at that TV where it's close to the clock and just watch and calculate 1 minute. All right, so 48:30, I'm gonna go to 49:30, and where's my heart rate? And just do the quick, simple math of subtraction to get it. That's gonna be the easiest way. When you're doing it on your phone, there's a clock underneath the square, so you can also look at it and see, just watch it really close if you're doing something at home and want to tell.
Does the app provide statistics so you could go back and look and see
Yep.
how you did in a previous workout
Yep.
and your recover time so that you don't have to watch the clock for a minute?
I don't think it checks the recovery time, because it's all dependent on when you take it off as well. Like there's sometimes people just finish the workout and take it off. For y'all, I would recommend wearing it, for at least 10 minutes or so after your workout, because you're still, especially after the burnout, you're at an elevated heart rate. So you're still going to be burning and you're still going to be elevated.
Yeah.
So remember, it's all about just being dialed in. So if we know that you burn another 50 calories in the next 30 minutes after the workout because you were still wearing your heart rate monitor, then we can add that to your calorie burn for the workout. So nutritionally, we know to add those in and factor those in. But if you finish the burnout, all right, I'm off, done, and you burned another 50 to 100 calories, then we're not going to be as dialed in with the nutrition. So I'm going to tell everyone, wear it 10 to 15 minutes after the workout and then take it off, or wear it till you get home or to work.
So if you're working out and it's all sweaty, can you wash it?
Yes, you can wash the belt. Otherwise, it will start to smell like a homeless person.
I would recommend that every week.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks at the most, no longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be wondering what that faint smell in catalyst is. Oh, it's just the Mizone.
They get bad pretty quick.
Yeah.
Do we have to use our real names when you?
No, that's the other thing. We want funny nicknames. So on the screen, you have your name that you put into the system, but then you have what they call your nickname. That goes on the screen. So we have Dad Bod, we got Queen Bee back there. So I want y'all to come up with a funny nickname. We'll help if you need it. What? Yeah, Barantula.
Appropriate.
Yeah, appropriate, please. I know we don't have kids in here. We do sometimes. I know Candy sometimes brings her daughter stuff. But yeah, just make it funny, personalized, something cool. That way, but we'll know who it is.
Can you talk a little bit more about the Mizone itself and the evidence behind it? How long has it been in play? How many other gyms use it? And what were kind of the barriers to getting it implemented, and how did they overcome those?
So the heart rate training has been going on for 20 years or longer in the medical field. And they finally realized that if we're testing it to see how healthy someone is, and we're saying that they need to exercise based on the results, why not monitor those results during the workout? So the oldest one, most people know Polar, is probably the most famous overall one. And they've been in business for a long time doing the heart rate monitor technology. Mizone, they're probably, as far as with me knowing who they were, it's been probably about 6 years or so. They're just another company. The main thing is they keep trying to get the technology better as far as what you can monitor. Because in the beginning it was just monitor your heart rate and calories. But obviously we want to know more. The more we know, the better. So they've just it's just different companies that come out with new technologies, new apps that show different things. Like there was one that we were going to go with that hooked to multiple different brands, but then we found out that there were software issues sometimes with connecting the belts, and that company doesn't care if you have a Polar belt. You need to call Polar to fix the problem with our system. So we didn't want to deal with that. So we went with the system that is all one. Everyone has the same belt, and that you can also use outside of here as well. So, but the heart rate training and the kind of the science behind it is just, if they know that it tells how healthy someone is, then it's obviously when they're exercising, they're stressing their body, we also need to know what's going on and monitor it. For me, it's just a safe way, making sure that it's a safe workout and that you're still pushing it but not too hard. But at the end of the day, it's literally just monitoring. The more we know, like I said, know better, do better. The more we know, the more we can push it into other avenues like your nutrition and your rest and all those different things. Like they have the heart rate variability training where I know they have the Aura rings. Nick Murtha wears the Aura ring, and it tells him his recovery every day. He wears it all the time. It tracks his sleep. So recovery is, especially in the professional sports world and athletics, they've pretty much stopped trying to research all of the other stuff, and almost all of the research is going on recovery. Because if you recover well, you play well and you perform well. If you're not recovering, we know it leads to higher stress, diabetes, overweight, all those different things. So it's all about just knowing as much information as possible. That's really all it is Do you know more with the heart rate monitor than you do if you don't? Yes. Can you change other aspects of your life knowing the statistics that they gave you from the heart rate monitor? Yes. You know, so, and can you change even in the moment what you're doing if you have a heart rate monitor on versus not? So it's just for us to track what's going on and what your body's doing.
So to summarize, we're adding just a couple of more variables that you can monitor.
Exactly. It's just more tools in the toolbox.
During the exercise.
Yeah, it's more tools in the toolbox. You know, I know Anthony used to say it all the time when he would have people come in for their assessments, is we're just trying to provide tools. The heart rate monitor is just the newest tool that we're going to use to do it. This is something that we've been wanting to do. We've done the performance trackers in the past, and that's kind of what we used to monitor if workouts were, you know, helping you with the strength and things like that. But now we want to shift more towards what's actually going on inside of your body, not how much weight you can deadlift and squat. If that's something that you want to find out, like I know that's for your goal, I have no problem doing that in a workout every few months and saying, hey, let's see how much I can deadlift today or in the last 3 months. For most people here, I would say 95% of our clients, the goal is fat loss. So we want to kind of switch gears and move to where we're actually tracking that and being really dialed in with it. I know, Ronnie, you had a question, right?
Yeah, back to, you said wearing the belt 10 to 15 minutes, however longer.
Yeah.
Is there a disadvantage to wearing it an hour, 2 hours?
No.
All day long.
No.
All day long,
Yeah.
exactly.
There is none. No,
Okay.
it won't, besides being uncomfortable. Now I know what it feels like to take a bra off. Right? Like,
Oh, no, you don't.
that feels so good. You take that thing off after an hour. I'm like, oh man, now I know. Now I know what they mean. Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah, I know. Right? Even when I have to endure, I don't know how you do it. But yeah, you can wear it as much as you want. I know you bike ride. You do all kinds of things outside of here as well. So if you're riding home, definitely don't take it off until after you've rode your bike home.
And give it some time.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else? Steve, no? Good?
I'm still waiting for a video on the TV, man.
A video?
Yeah.
Oh, we got a heart monitor for you to ride the bike. It's for you. All right, so last thing, we're going to do a group break, okay? Like I said before, y'all are here for yourselves. And I'm really proud of y'all for coming and showing up for yourselves and trying to get better, learn more information on how you can better your life and your time here at Catalyst. So I just want to say I'm super proud of y'all for showing up. We did not know how many we were going to get, but this has been an awesome turnout. We ordered 40 chairs, and I think we filled almost all of them besides maybe 2, and that's because Sheldon wants to sit on the bike instead. So we're going to get a group break in here, so bring it on in, everybody. Bring it in, come on the turf. And also, again, give yourselves a round of applause for showing up today for yourselves. Proud of y'all. Yeah, move the chairs out of the way. Squeeze in. Get us an alleyway here. There you go. Bring it on in. Get close, get close. Got it, everybody. Come on, Peter. Come on, Rowena. Squeeze in. Good. Bring it in. A little closer, a little closer, a little closer. I know. You're not even, no one's sweaty here. No one's sweaty. All right, so bring it on in. Hey, thank y'all for coming out. I really appreciate it. All right? I'm going to say no better. Y'all say do better 3 times, and then we're going to go Catalyst on 3, all right? No better. Do better. No better. Do better. No better. Do better. 1, 2, 3. Catalyst. Great job, y'all. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for coming.